Welcome everybody to the Sounds About Right podcast, where we don't always know what we're talking about, but we make it sound good. I got my man's Uncle Nate with me, and of course, back from vacation, his permanent vacation, stunting on us.
What
KC
up?
is back. Welcome
How's
back.
it going?
You know what I'm saying? It's good, man. Not as good as you, bro. You know what I'm saying? The travel king, bro.
I try to move around a little bit, trying to be like Nate when I grow up.
Man, we all trying to be like you, bro. Shoot, I'm trying to get to the DR right now. What you talking about?
Let's go. I'll be there in May.
See? Look at Nate's like, oh my God.
I'll be there
No.
in May, man.
Yo, fellas, we just had the Super Bowl, and we were both wrong, me and Nate. Yeah. So there is that. The show went 0 for 2 in predicting who would win the Super Bowl. Probably because, Casey wasn't on. He probably would have picked the winner, but, we were trying to be different.
No, I wouldn't have picked the winner, man. I was rolling with Philly.
Yeah. I think a lot of people. It was a damn good game.
I even pulled out an old school jersey, man. Some people may like it, some people may not. I pulled out the Michael Vick Eagles jersey.
Michael Vick redemption joint. Yep. All right.
Man, I used to have a Randall Cunningham back in the day when I was like a little kid.
Yeah.
Like an uncle had given it to me, and I didn't even know anything about it. But I was like, okay, cool, Let's get into it, man. I'm gonna let you start off, KC, since you've been on vacation for a little bit. I'm gonna give you the first word, man. First off, kind of give us, how your ideas on, what about Championship Week and then the Super Bowl itself, since you weren't here, last time we were talking about Championship Week, and then give us kind of your take on how the Super Bowl went.
For me, man, it's funny being since living in Arizona, especially in the Glendale, Phoenix area. A lot of people was like, "Hey, you're not even at home for the Super Bowl," because I actually went away for that. Every Super Bowl over the last 4 years, I've been traveling. So people are like, "Well, why you didn't stay for the Super Bowl?" I was like, "Well, I didn't want to break my tradition." But like I said, I still was supporting. For some reason, I just felt like the Eagles had a chance. And I remember earlier when we made our predictions, remember we was like, hey, who's going to go to Super Bowl? And I was like, oh, man, nobody going from the NFC least. Remember that?
Right.
And here it was. I did a 180 after seeing what the Eagles did. And I really was excited for them throughout the entire game. And as much as people celebrated or celebrating Kansas City winning, I think it was more so the Eagles losing the game versus Kansas City winning the game. If you get gifted, I think if we all started a football team and we're gifted 21 points in the Super Bowl, we probably have a likelihood of winning too.
Yeah. What did you think about that holding call towards the end of the game, Nate? I know you got some thoughts on it, man. What's your thoughts on that, bro?
Me on that one? Well, no, I've thought about it. So the first thing is on the holding call. I don't think it would have changed the outcome of the game. I really don't. I think it was still within the make a field goal range, and the amount of time that would have been left, might be able to say with the timeouts and stuff, maybe Philly could have driven down and done something, but just with the way the game had been going at that point, I don't think it really changed the outcome of the game. But like I thought about it for a little bit, and the problem that I have with the call isn't the call. The problem is it tarnishes the game a little bit because now we got to talk about it, right? And if you think about it, the exact same thing happened in the AFC Championship game for the Chiefs. No, with the roughing the passer call. It was like back-to-back games where the Chiefs kind of got that little extra nudge. Like they probably would have won anyway. I bet Buckner hits that field goal if it's 15 yards back. I bet Kansas City's defense holds up against it, but we missed that moment, and it calls some stuff into question. So I'm really curious about I'll be honest. The whole like y'all heard about this scripting thing that going on in the NFL? Y'all heard about this?
No, what's going on?
So it was Arian Foster on an interview said that in the beginning of the year, every NFL team was provided a script of how the games would go and who would win and who would be starred and what games you would miss. Things like that. And that the practicing was actually more about practicing the script. Basically saying that the NFL was like the WWE. And
Wow.
those types of calls kind of, bring that up a little bit, or at least like, especially, and I've noticed a lot since, because if this is the other thing I was thinking about, I want your opinion on this. Remember, Super Bowls were always blowouts until gambling started becoming more mainstream. Like once you stopped having to call a bookie and you started going on your phone, now all of a sudden all the Super Bowls are close. Less blowouts in the regular season. Uh, Is NFL kind of playing the hedges? I mean, are they hedging are they getting games closer for betting purposes? That's what I'm saying. It just starts to call all that type of stuff into question. Like, is the game clean, basically, from a referee and NFL standpoint? But that's just
Uncle
my
Nate in here
personal.
starting conspiracy theories up
That's
in
my
here.
conspiracy theory self. It's like
Casey,
the game's too good.
what's your response to that, bro? If you have one.
Uh, I don't know. I think that's too much work, man, with the conspiracy theory aspect of it. Um, that's a lot of work. I mean, I don't want to take away from it, but I just think that um, going back to what he was talking about, um, he had a chance. So the referees, I wanted to go way back. The referees actually had a chance to keep their flags in their pocket like they did for the first 58 and a half minutes of the game, and they chose not to. I think it was ticky tack call, but as an athlete, you understand, you just got to play the game. You hate to see that the referees are the ones who are helping to decide the outcome, but that come with the territory. As far as the conspiracy theory, uh, I don't know. I don't think that would be the case because, like I said, I think when I led with Philly gifted them 21 points.
Yeah.
Jalen coming around the corner, he fumbles the ball, pick, scoop, and score, and two blown coverages.
Back to back.
Yeah, like literally. And I couldn't see, the conspiracy aspect of it. For me, I don't get it because as an athlete, you got to be telling those athletes or those uh those guys on those particular plays like don't cover somebody. And I don't know exactly what you could possibly tell them to not cover someone.
Well, and I mean, well, I don't think it's those. Like, I think that whole script thing is probably a little bit far fetched.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's far fetched. But the NFL has an interest in keeping the Super Bowls close, right? Like this really like go back.
Mm-hmm.
The Chiefs had to come back against the 49ers, right? Pretty substantial comeback against the 49ers in that Super Bowl. We all know about the historic Brady comeback, right? Against the Falcons. There's a lot of comebacks to get these games the games get closer. And a lot of times it's like a little ticky tack foul that I mean, because if you really think about a defensive holding call, right? Like since that call became a thing, a third down and 10, and you get a little, or even 15, whatever, and you get this little ticky tack holding call, which might technically be holding, but it continues a drive. Or the other thing I've noticed is, have you guys realized how often holding is called on third down on offense? I've noticed this lately. First down, second down on pass plays is usually when you see a holding call on an offensive lineman. You don't see it that often on third down. I guess they just don't hold on third down. Like, you know what I mean? Like those types of things have kind of that I've just started to kind of notice, and I don't think it's the players. I think the players play through it. I think it's more referees to some degree. Like we all remember the NBA ref that was fixing
Oh yeah, yeah.
yeah, for the Lakers games, like for
Terminated
those
for
Lakers.
gambling.
Yeah. So I mean, like I could see the NFL saying something like, "Hey, we need this game to be closer."
That dude owed his bookie over $1 million though.
Yeah,
Like he was in trouble.
yeah. But I mean,
He
like,
was in trouble.
but that was him. But I mean, like, I could see a world where the NFL makes a call down to the officiating crew, like, "Yo, this game's getting a little out of hand," and they find times because, like, what they say, holdings on every call, on every play.
I got a question.
Yeah,
When you think that started?
I really think it started like, and I don't have like dates or something. I don't have like
Hmm.
a calendar, but like it seemed to pick up more when, like I said earlier, when betting became on your phone. You know, like when you're able to
Oh,
go on
okay.
your phone and do FanDuel or something, and it varies in different states. But once it
So,
started becoming more popular,
so you
You're
saying when it
talking about
became
when DraftKings,
a
FanDuel,
little bit more
Barstool.
electronic?
no, I think it's the NFL has like I think the NFL has a vested interest in keeping games close or keeping games close to
I guess so.
the
When do you
lines.
think
Yeah.
that came about? You still
Yeah,
sticking with
like
the
I'd
phone?
probably say, yeah, like the phone betting. So I mean, like what was that like last 5 years or so is when that really started picking
You
up.
think so? Okay. I was just
Yeah,
wondering because
yeah,
I was going to go back. I really thought like, okay, well, if they've been doing this for quite some time, that
hmm
means we probably, as a Chicago Bears fan, we probably were supposed to be um,
Oh no,
the
that's your
New
ownership.
England Patriots in the Super Bowl like 92-20, but we wanted to keep it close and made it
Uh
46-10.
yeah. See, but that's okay. Look at it this way. Like here's the other thing. I mean, I know where you're trying to go. You're trying to give your one Super Bowl championship a shout out, but let's really think about this though. That's how Super Bowls used to be. Remember? Like, I think the 49ers put up like a 64 spot or something insane against the Chargers in '94. Like, you don't see that no more. You don't even see that really in playoff games no more. So,
Well,
like,
I'll be honest with you. I don't really think there's this the NFL itself has as much involvement in determining the outcomes of games. I probably would have leaned into it a little bit more if you were saying maybe Vegas
that's
had
where I'm going.
a hand in it, but the NFL itself, I don't really think that is that is really the
Think about it.
case. And if that
But
was, and let's say maybe if it was the case, um, do you think maybe we could have had a better set of teams with larger followings in the
no, well,
championship game?
see, so that's the thing, right? Like, I disagree with that part on the followings. Um, the I mean, if you're looking at the four teams that were in the championship games, the Bengals, they have a very loyal following, especially in their town. I mean, it's not as much of a national thing, but then but they have that good news story with Joe Burrow. Like the teams with the stories are the teams that are they're there. Joe Burrow, you know, the big time quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's where that's who tends to be in those games. Now, I'm not saying that I don't think the games are fixed. I think the games are made closer, is
Hmm.
what I'm saying. I think that the games are like
Do you think that could
yeah,
be because there's less room? I guess the talent gap is a lot
no,
closer now than it used to be. It used to be you'd have maybe a handful of teams with all the talent, or there'd be like two or three quarterbacks that were lights out. Now, you know, it's a little bit closer. Is that more of a thing than it used to be, also, or is it strictly a hey, let's try to control this and make it a little bit more entertaining?
no, I think there is that. I mean, I definitely see what you're saying because like the parody. I mean, basically, free agency. Free agency started to create that parody, all of that. No, that there is a there is a much more even talent. but not to that degree. Like not to this degree where there's not a bad team. Like there are bad teams. You're acting like there's not bad football teams out there. The Houston Texans are a bad football team. Like they
Well,
are.
you look at it like this, right? And to Casey's point earlier when he said, when we were and we all did this, right? Who's going to
Mhm,
the Super Bowl? Ain't nobody from the
mhm.
NFC least, right? We all did that. You weren't the only one. None
Yeah.
of us before the season started. None of us would have said Jalen Hurts and Patrick Mahomes are on the same level.
No.
Now, after watching that Super Bowl, you kind of, you know what I mean? Like they're a
See,
lot closer than we thought they were.
no. I hear what you're saying. Like, and I agree. Like I mean, getting. I was actually going to use that for later on to make y'all feel better. Like, because if y'all get Justin Fields, an AJ Brown, or Devontae Smith, maybe y'all can work with someone on offense. I'm just saying, like if y'all got that caliber of guy out there on the corner. So getting AJ
Casey,
Brown
he's
this year was
jealous of our
huge.
first round pick. I just want to let you know that.
Wait, what'd you say?
He's jealous of our first round pick. That's
I really don't care. We 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 got the best quarterback in last year's draft with the last pick in last year's draft. But
I'm sorry, would that be
that's Brock Purdy, man.
Brock
Brock
Purdy,
Purdy.
huh?
Brock Purdy is the best quarterback in last
All
year's
right.
draft.
Perry's finest, huh?
Are we going to act like Brock is not better than Kenny Pickett? I mean,
Well, I'm not here for that.
I'm just
that's
saying.
that's, that's rough right there, bro.
But that's not the point. But so no, I do see what you like. There is a talent. There's elevated talent. But if you just watch, like I would say, try changing your view at the end of the games and just notice who calls tend to benefit and when they tend to happen. There's a lot of second half comebacks. There's a lot of second half comebacks, and it's like, does the other team just stop playing? Well, no.
Mm,
There's a holding call on second down, and now it's 2nd and 20, and now the team punts,
mm,
or all of a sudden it's like, oh well, oh, this team had a little bit of a drive going. Now you got a defensive holding, and halfway through the third quarter, and the drive extends, and it's a tic tac foul. It's like, okay, maybe, but you didn't call the same penalty in the first half, and
mhm,
now you're calling in the third quarter. And now all of a sudden, that team that was down 21, 28, now, oh, they got a drive going. Now they get some momentum
mhm.
going, and then you know scores get a lot closer. And I just noticed that tends to happen. It's almost like the team that's getting beat really bad, it's like the referees feel sorry for them and think they need a break. But it's like that's not what's happening. It's no, they're the NFL, and if you really think about it, who benefits the most from close games?
Well, I get where you're going with that, but
Yeah.
let's let's for me,
Mhm.
uh,
I
knowing
mean, I know I'm going
athletes, being former athlete, not on a major scale, obviously, but just being in competitive sports.
to.
Usually, in championship games and in really in any sport, it's always about runs. It's always about runs. It can be in baseball, it can be in football, basketball. There's always going to be a run, and how much can you sustain? How much can you hold on? Because you're going to get hit with a run, um, and that's essentially in how the run occurs. You don't really know. It can be all you, or it could be you're actually benefiting from the mistakes of your opponents. But a run is going to occur. And I would find it hard for any team to really get in a championship game on that magnitude and not find something, even with getting blown out, not being able to dig deep. This is the last game of the year. You, you're going to dig deep. You're going to take some extra deep breaths. You're going to suck it up, and you're going to find a will and a way.
Okay,
Um,
so no, I got something for that because I see where you're going, but I'm gonna give you an example of what happens when you try to find a will in a way and you go try too hard. The 49ers against the Eagles, the 49ers ended up shooting themselves in the foot because that defense was trying too hard to make a big play and not playing within themselves. So when they go out there and you try to find a will and a way and you go too far, you end up shooting yourself in the foot with a bunch of penalties. So I think, and legit, and I'm not the guy sitting here saying that those weren't legitimate penalties. I'm saying the 49ers were trying too hard in that game and they ended up hurting themselves. That's what happens when that's what ends up happening when you're getting blown out. You dig yourself in a deeper hole. It's not like all of a sudden like a miracle you find it out. But I mean, I know I'm not saying this happens in every game, but
Nick,
Well,
I
the
do
49ers
think.
lost because they were on quarterback number 17. That's
Well, no,
why
I
they
don't
lost.
even go there.
I
No, the
think that
49ers
would
have
be it. I don't the defense.
5.
So even if you go, I'll be quite honest. Uh,
Mhm.
if there was going to be a team that was going to play Kansas City and probably give them a run for their money, it would have been the Philadelphia Eagles and not the San Francisco 49ers. No, sir.
We'll never find out. Yeah, because I'm
Yeah,
not
that's
going to.
obvious because 49ers ain't going nowhere.
Is a Bears
Let me
fan
let me
talking
ask
shit
you.
right now? I'm confused. Where the hell did this goal come from? Your team
Let me
hasn't
ask
made the
you this.
playoffs since 2011. The
Let me ask
playoffs.
you. Let me ask
Hell
you,
on the way.
fellas, this.
Where'd that come from? All right.
Given how everything did play out,
Mm.
who were you most impressed with after the game? Nate, go ahead.
Hmm.
And it doesn't have to
The,
be a
the the
player. It could
popular
be
answer
a defense, it could be offense, it could be coordinator, anything.
the I, I'm gonna say that I'm not gonna say I'm impressed with like overly impressed with anybody because I like it like because that would mean that I didn't think after watching Jalen Hurts this year that I didn't think he was capable of doing that on a big stage. And I did think he was capable of doing that on a big stage. Like after watching it, if you watch this season, Jalen Hurts did not do anything that he hasn't been doing all year. And I mean, because I know everybody's like, "Oh my God, Jalen Hurts is amazing." Jalen Hurts been amazing all season. So let's not act
Mhm.
surprised. Let's not act like the last 6 months didn't happen. Patrick
Mm.
Mahomes, I expect that from Patrick Mahomes.
Okay.
Um, I mean that's just what Pat does. If I was going to say impressed with somebody, I would actually probably say the person that has surprised me the most in this entire playoffs is the Eagles coach, Sirianni. Like that dude, I didn't know he was that good. I mean, he coached his ass off all season, and he stepped up in the playoffs. He came into that with a good scheme into the Super Bowl. So I gotta say, Sirianni really is probably the guy who
Mm.
impressed me the most. So yeah. Now, if you're talking all season, Jalen Hurts, because he took like 5 steps, 5 like big giant steps this season.
Yeah,
That
big
like
boy
yeah,
steps this year.
yeah.
KC, what about you, man?
Uh, Contrary to what Nate was saying, I'm going to go with Jalen Hurts because with Jalen Hurts, again, he had an opportunity where he was driving, and I think they could have went up like 14 points. Right? He was
Right,
driving. They had the ball. He was going to. They possibly could have drove down the field, and I think they could have went up 14 points if they score or something like that.
right.
14 or more points. He fumbles the ball. Right? Fumbles the ball. Obviously, it's picked up. Scoop and score. From that time after that, where I've seen at the end of the day, he's still a young quarterback. He still hasn't been on that particular stage. From that time on, he was lights out. I was impressed with him for that aspect because even then he played well enough that you had the Philadelphia Eagles playing and in their own right they high powered, but we're talking about the Kansas City Chiefs, where a lot of people feel like they're probably the most explosive team in the league, and Philadelphia was right there with them, blow for
Mhm.
blow. If they don't have blown coverages and that sack, which of course, and what did Jalen do after? I'm not the sack, but after that fumble, after that scoop and score, what did he come? He brought him. He drove him right down the field as if it never happened.
Mhm.
I think a combination of both of you guys' answers is correct, right? I think both of them are right. I think you take, to your point, Casey, what Jalen Hurts, not only what he did and what you said, Nate, all year, but then you take it on the biggest stage, right? We've all seen guys get to the biggest stage and crumble, right?
Mm-hmm.
They wither a little bit. It becomes too big for them. Jalen Hurts was like, "Hey, this is what I do," right? And I think that the coach doesn't get as much love as he should because yeah, I think he did help in bringing him along, right? Like Jalen Hurts is a good talent. Let's be really clear, right? You don't go
Mm-hmm.
to Alabama and then Oklahoma, and be the starting quarterback if you're not a really good athlete, right? But and let's not forget he was a winner pretty much his whole career until he got into the
Mm-hmm.
NFL. But he got to the NFL. He got with a good coach, and I do think that the coach did help out a little bit. The thing that I was most impressed with, for me, was Kansas City's defense, right? Because I thought that offense was gonna of the Eagles was gonna run all over them. I thought they weren't gonna be able to stop that running game, you know,
Mm.
and Jalen was gonna be able to dink and dunk them down the field and all that, right? That defense showed me something in the Super Bowl, bro,
Yeah,
and I was impressed with that.
they probably couldn't do that because the NFL. I guess we're going back to Nate's conspiracy theory because they put all that freaking paint on the field and got the guys out there slipping and sliding and not
Yeah,
being
that was weird.
effective as they normally would be on offense.
Hey, close games, right? No, and here's the thing, right? Like you're talking about how Jalen Hurts coming back from a mistake that cost his team 7 points and possibly a 14-point swing impressed you. Jalen Hurts, his character and his ability to step up in big moments should have never been questioned. That wasn't what it was.
Mm,
I mean, his leadership, his character, his ability to fight adversity, he's a that's why he was drafted in the second round. It wasn't because of his talent. He never was the guy who they thought had the arm talent. I mean,
mm,
yeah, he could run. Yeah, he's a big guy and he could run, but nobody was like, and throughout his entire college career, it was like Jalen Hurts is the most accurate quarterback or he has this great arm. No, it was always he is the best leader in all of college football.
mm.
His character is impeccable. So, like, and when you look at the whole Jalen Hurts thing, like when Alabama and he wasn't playing well, and he gave it over to Tua, and then they won, and they're like, hey, he's like, hey, well, Tua had it that night, and then the next year Tua was hurt. The next year Tua got hurt, and Jalen balled the hell out for Alabama. Like that was the time when this is dude's character's right. So I mean, like that shouldn't have surprised nobody that he could overcome that. I don't think now, and I do see that that's the narrative for everybody, and they're talking about now how he should get like the Patrick Mahomes type contract and like the 10 years and the 15 years or whatever. I mean,
I got a
but
question about
yeah,
that,
uh-huh.
uh, and it just came to mind, and I don't want to get us off
Uh-huh.
topic. Well, I'm gonna stay on topic, but I don't want to get us off topic as far as the direction we're going. Uh, Jalen Hurts. Why is it that for him,
Mhm.
and maybe it's just political? Why is it for him he always has to prove himself when he's already proven himself?
That's my point. That's like what you're saying right now is my point. I'm saying that that portion of his game has never needed to be proven, and that his character
Well,
and his leadership is unimpeccable.
I'm going back to the
Yeah.
Alabama thing because people always go back to the Alabama
Mhm.
thing.
That's just completely the reason why people go back to that
I think that
is
was
because someone says that.
I don't know. For me, I think it was political. I don't think Tua should have never been put in front of him. But
Well,
Yeah,
and,
I
and
would I would I would take Jalen Hurts over Tua every
oh,
day of the week. Me personally.
but no, I agree with y'all. But what I'm saying is that like that's why I didn't want it. Like what you just the question you just asked, Casey, is why I did not want to say Jalen Hurts. Dude's proven everything. If you don't expect him to go out there and run for 100 yards and drop 300 yards passing and run for 3 touchdowns, you're not watching him. That's what you should expect. If he doesn't do that, wow. Why do you only have 250 and 50? Why do you only throw for 250 and only run for 50? Jalen had a bad game.
man,
Like that's what you should expect from that dude, and he shouldn't. He has nothing to prove to nobody.
I know a
And
guy
that's
lost a
it.
lot of money.
Uh-huh.
He took the under on FanDuel for Jalen Hurts and yardage. 250,
Mistake.
258,
Mistake.
258 and a half.
No.
He just
Big
said, hey,
mistake.
man, did Jalen Hurts really have more than
Yes.
260 yards? What?
Why would you expect that? Like, you don't expect Pat
Right.
Mahomes to throw for less than 260. You don't expect Joe Burrow to throw
That's
for
what I
less than
told him. I said,
260.
if you look at
Come on now.
if you looked at Jalen Hurts' yardage, he averaged that for the year. How could you
Yeah.
not expect for him not to?
Yeah. So yeah, but that I mean, so like your question backs up my point. Like, this dude should have nothing to prove. And yeah, but
To you guys' point, though, now that and I think we all agree on that.
mm,
What kind of contract do you see Jalen Hurts getting at now when they go back to the table? Go ahead, Kate.
Uh, I think he needs to call uh, a guy named Jerry Maguire, get on the phone with
Show me the
Philly, and the only words you should hear is "Show me the money."
you know, I'm gonna take a different track, man. If I'm Jalen, I'm calling up Patrick Mahomes and saying, "Yo, how did you get your money and structure your contract in a way that you were able to keep such high talent around you and keep your guys paid?" Because that's what I want.
Well,
I want the Patrick Mahomes deal. I want
that's a
like, what
different.
was it? Yeah.
That's a different thing. The money, him talking about Patrick Mahomes and getting the money, I can see that call. But keeping the talent around him, you got to remember, KC had quite a few guys that was on. KC doesn't have like they don't have like a big payroll when it comes to talent. Some guys they didn't start getting money until they left.
But they got a line. They put money in the line. They have a lot of money there. Travis Kelsey can name his own price. They've always been able to bring in influential
So
free agents.
let me
So yeah,
ask you this then.
they're
I
very
like you
runnable
said,
franchise.
I'm on the let me ask you train.
Yeah, that's where you at. Yeah.
So you got your line, Patrick
Hmm.
Mahomes, Travis Kelsey. Uh, I don't know who else you probably would want to toss up. The guy on defense, I think it's number
Chris
92.
Jones. Chris Jones.
What's his
95, I
name?
think. Chris Jones, I believe, is who you're talking
Yeah,
to.
Jones or something like
Yeah.
that. 92, 95. I don't know. It's not a Chicago Bear. But
Right.
uh,
You better than any Chicago Bear. But yeah, I got
you
you.
got him. So let me ask you, prior to
Hmm.
last year,
Hmm.
or this year, what was the issue then? Since we're Super Bowl and we're talking about it, what was the issue? Where was Tyreek Hill in that line?
All right. So the Tyreek Hill thing, yeah, they weren't able to get Tyreek the money he wanted. But look at what the Chiefs were able to do. Yes, they didn't pay Tyreek, but they
Yeah,
were
but
able to. But they
I'm
were
not
able
trying
to.
to put you. I'm just saying, where was
Yeah,
he at
no,
in the
no.
line?
Well, I obviously not near the top because they obviously assume, and it ends up being right. They rightfully assumed that what they could do is trade Tyreek Hill, and then what they can do is go get two new people to be targets to kind of replace him. And what they do, they went and got uh Scanling, MVD, or they went and
Yeah,
got
from
him,
Green Bay.
and they got Juju, and they were able to fill
But
that Tyreek hole with two other people
mm,
and still save money. So no, so the Kansas City Chiefs have been a brilliantly run franchise for a while now. Um,
but that's going
but
back to what I was saying, not spending the money.
they did spend the money. I mean, they spent the money just in different places. They didn't like because right now they spent it in other places. And they spread it out differently. Like if you look at their defense, they always end up having well, actually this year was a different story, but they go out and they sign like a big free agent. Like they had Honey Badger for a while. Like they do stuff like that that gives their team a pickup. So and they have to have the money to do that. I don't think that. what my point is when I said that is I don't think that Jalen should try to hamstring ownership by getting a big contract because he can. And if he does get a big contract, I think it has to be laid out in a way that is friendly for the team to continue to pay people because they're going to have to pay Devontae, they're going to have to pay AJ, they're going to have to pay people, and they're going to have to pay that line. They have to pay their defense. So he has to lay it. That's my point is that lay it out in a way where it can be team friendly. You don't want to make them say, okay, well, we'll keep you, but now you have to play with this second rate offensive line. That
So
was
they
my
going
point.
back?
I don't see them going backwards. I don't see that. I think
No,
they're a
are they
legit
going
contender.
back to the Super Bowl
Who
next year?
next year? Oh, I think that it's going to be between them and the 49ers again, the NFC Championship game, I would say.
So the Eric
Um,
Bieniemy loss doesn't hurt them.
oh,
Oh,
no,
Chiefs.
that's a whole different can of bullshit. If you want to open up that thing, that dude should have been a head coach about 5 years ago, talking about he doesn't interview well and he doesn't call his own plays. Y'all need to shut the hell up. Eric Bieniemy should be a head coach and not be some damn offense coordinator for the freaking Commanders. That is bullshit. Um, and Brian Leftwich should not be looking this hard for a job either. By the way, he should not be calling up Notre Dame asking to be an OC for Notre Dame. So, because what last year people were talking about Brian Leftwich possibly being the next head coach, big head coach. So no, for the Eric Bieniemy thing, yeah, as you can tell, that kind of annoyed the hell out of me.
So
But
Casey actually kind of led right into it. And the next
hmm
question is, who do you guys got? I know it's way early, right? Do you
hmm
see either of the two teams returning, or who do you see before we get into the draft and all that, running it back to or having the best chance to get into next year's Super Bowl? Go ahead, Nate.
oh, I think I think that you have the 49ers and the Eagles are going to decide who comes out of the NFC, and I think the Chiefs and the Bengals are going to decide who comes out of the AFC again. I just those teams are built too well. I don't see them falling off. I mean, the 49ers have been the championship game like what 3 years in a row or something like that. The Eagles are young and tough. Um, Chiefs ain't going nowhere. Bengals ain't going nowhere. I think it's who can catch up with them. So
Nate's got him running it back. Casey, what you think, man?
Well, they did say some drugs are legal in Arizona. Some.
Yeah. Mm.
I
mhm.
don't know. I don't think, honestly, to sit here and just say Bengals and Chiefs, uh, which of course I understand, yeah, there's legitimately they can be in an argument, but are we just going to disregard the Buffalo Bills?
Yes, I'm
Uh,
saying it now. Yes, I'm disregarding them. They,
obviously.
they're the third or fifth, and there's a legitimate reason why. They play in a hard division, and they are the third or fourth best team in the AFC. They are not the first or second best.
So, what division does the Cincinnati Bengals play in?
AFC, NFC North.
The AFC North?
Yes,
And what division does the Buffalo Bills play in?
AFC East.
And you're saying that in the AFC
hmm
East, I'll go with that.
I'm saying the AFC
There,
East is now a harder division than the NFC and then the AFC North. I say that because one team has the Browns in it. I say that also because the other team has starting quarterback is either Mitch Trubisky or Kenny Pickett. So yeah, the other one
that's the North,
has
right?
yeah, yeah. I'm
So you're
not
saying that the Buffalo Bills are
in a harder
in
division.
their division is the fourth best team? Who's better than them?
No, I'm saying in fourth best in the AFC.
Oh, fourth
Oh,
best in the
not in their division. I'm saying they come from a harder division. They have to deal with the Dolphins. They have to deal with Bill Belichick. They
Did you
have to
really
deal
say the
with
Dolphins?
Yeah, I think the AFC. Yeah,
And you was about to sit up here and say the Patriots.
no, I said Bill Belichick. I didn't say the
Who
Patriots. I
does
said
he
Bill
coach?
Belichick. It doesn't matter. I said Bill Belichick though.
Bruh.
And also the Jets are an up and coming team. Yeah, I said that. Yeah, I think the Dolphins talent wise can compete with anybody.
The
Talent wise,
Bills,
it's
I
gonna.
mean, honestly, the Bills was probably they honestly were a couple of mishaps and plays away from being in this conversation.
Hold on.
And to completely write them off like that, I can't do that. Or to say that they're the fourth best team,
Mm,
uh, hmm, that's debatable because even though Kansas City went to the Super Bowl and they won, that's debatable if they were even the best team coming out of the AFC. It's
mm,
debatable. I'm not taking anything away from them, but it still is debatable. Uh, and I think also too when you take a team like the Eagles, who another team that made it to the Super Bowl, but it was very debatable, or it easily could have been another team. And my point is, there's a lot of parity uh, in the league, and Buffalo, even with all of that parity, I'm agreeing with you. Kansas City is one of those teams that they show up. Yeah, that they'll be somewhere in the hunt. Cincinnati, they'll be somewhere in the hunt. But just as well as those two teams can be in the hunt, Buffalo can be in the hunt as well. That's just my take. I'm not trying to just take anything
mm.
away from you as far as your opinion, uh, but I just know that Buffalo, that's not somebody that you see on the schedule and you'd be like, oh yeah, this is going to be a cakewalk. So,
I
and
mean,
on whatever level that may be. So, but going back, I like Buffalo. I like Buffalo.
really?
Uh,
No, I'm joking. Nah.
I would say the Bears, but then I probably would have some type of suit for falsely
I was about to
And
say,
like,
Casey, I love you, man, but that's a stretch.
falsely saying a team. Like, I really think um it could easily be Philly, and then I have a dark horse. Uh, and I don't. This is just my dark horse because of the things that's transpired over the last few days. You guys ready for this?
mhm.
I'm on pins and needles, bro.
I think this particular team they have enough to what it takes on defense, but now they have someone that may be able to help them move the needle a little bit on offense. And I like the Commanders with Eric Bieniemy as their offensive coordinator.
Okay, somebody uh get this man's drink away from him.
I'm
Just
not
go ahead.
dignifying that.
Yeah, we just gonna move right on into
Okay.
the next.
Hey, you know what? Remember, we got this on record because I remember very clearly. So this is something that could transpire, and I'll tell you why. Each and every one of you, I'm looking at the screen, I'm pointing at myself, said nobody will make it from the NFC least.
It's facts. We can't dispute that. We did.
Well,
Because
we
right
were right.
now,
No.
you're
We were
sounding
right.
you're
No,
sounding like those guys that said nobody can make it from the NFC least when I said the Washington Commanders.
we were right about the NFC least. We just thought it was the East and not the South.
Yeah, there it is. Really quickly, fellas, before we wrap up, I just want to kind of get your thoughts on it. Me and Nick, we talked about it a little bit, but now that the Super Bowl is over, now that the season is wrapped up, I mean, yeah, we got some XFL that's going to happen, and maybe some of those guys make some teams. But if you're a GM or a coach for the NFL teams that are entering the draft now, does the way the Super Bowl played out change anything for you guys at the top of the order? Basically, 1 through 10, right? Do you see any of that changing or has the way the Super Bowl played out, or the way the season's played out, or any of the signings that have happened since the season has ended? Do you see that changing anything about who and how the draft goes when it pops off? Casey, I'll go ahead and let you go first.
Uh, I think it's going to be a lot of moving and shaking when it comes to the draft. I won't go into details about the possibilities of draft picks and stuff like that. I've seen some mock drafts where it's like, oh, get rid of Justin Fields, and then you go and get this kid, this other kid, and you get a bunch of draft picks for Justin Fields, or you're this particular team, you go and get this guy, and you got a shot. Um, I won't even talk about the Super Bowl. I'm gonna talk about teams that didn't make the Super Bowl. And what does that look like for them? And I'll focus on one team because for the life of me, I don't know what is happening with this particular team. But I just want to make sure I'm looking at the camera. Can you guys see my eyeballs? Because I just
Yeah,
need to know. Baltimore Ravens, what the hell are you doing? Why have you not signed Lamar Jackson? What's so hard about meeting in the middle? All right, that's what I was going.
yeah, get that man his check. Go ahead, Nick.
Ah, let's see. So I think that what you're going to see is in the draft is you're going to see teams trying to move. I think you're going to see some teams that are going to think that they're one player away, and you're going to have other teams realize that they're many players away. And I think you're going to see some trading. But I think that everybody's going to be looking for that one guy that they can at least hang the hat on. Like for instance, if and this is and we talked about this last time, Nigel. Like I think that if the Chicago Bears do trade Justin Fields, it's so that they can distract the Bears fans with a shiny new object. Like we're going to suck for another 3 to 5 years, but look, we got whatever his name is. Um, so I think that you'll see some teams trying to do that. Probably see the Texans trying to do something like that. Like, hey, look, we got you, shiny quarterback. Um,
Well, the Bears would get a shiny new object. It's called a stadium in the north suburbs.
yeah, well, yeah. Hopefully a dome too for Justin, right? But yeah, I think you're going to see some teams trying to make a big splash, and I think you're going to see smarter organizations take advantage of that, gather up draft picks, and move around in the draft. And yeah, so that's what
I
I think. I
think the
think,
one,
yeah.
I, I didn't mean to cut you off. I said I think the one team that kind of made me, once I watched the Super Bowl, right, and I saw how it's played out, and I saw you look at all the teams that are built well in the playoffs, right? And I said the one team I didn't really even consider so much even when we were talking about it, and we kind of went over the draft in depth.
Mhm.
Nate, was the Seahawks, and I said when you look at the Seattle Seahawks, right, look what they did with Gino, right,
Write them off,
and
and he didn't write back.
right, and Gino was out there balling. Now, if you're the Seahawks and you say, okay, if we could do that with Gino, we got 2 picks in the first round, right? Let's either
Mhm.
give that to the Bears, right, to get that number 1 pick, and either get our quarterback of the future, or hey, we want Justin Fields because we think we can do even better with Justin Fields, and then you look at the coach that they have, right? Like he loves that kind of guy. You know what I'm saying? Could you see a team like that? Because they have, and the only reason I even bring them up is because they do have 2 picks, and they're picking at number 5 and number 20. That's value. You know what I
Okay.
mean? The Bears
Let,
would still be able to get
I don't
whatever it
like
is.
it.
let me go here. Let me try this. So,
Go ahead.
and I think I said this last time, and it's funny because like y'all don't have a great history of drafting great players. Okay, y'all drafted Justin Fields. I was against Justin Fields because I don't really trust Ohio State quarterbacks that much. I believe it was you who said, well, he was also a Georgia quarterback. So, all right, cool. But y'all got one. You have a guy who is your offense. You have a guy who can rally your team around. You have a guy. Build around him. If you're going to trade something, trade that number one pick for multiple picks. Do not trade Justin Fields. A Justin Fields does not come around every single draft.
He does
Justin
not.
Justin Fields is not a guaranteed. You're not going to get that again. Do you want another Mitch Trubisky? Do you want to trade Justin Fields and get a Mitch Trubisky? It can happen. You're more likely to
Well,
get a Mitch
I
Trubisky than
was
another Justin Fields.
so here's the thing, Nate. One, I just want to say the Bears don't have an issue with drafting good talent. They don't. And I'm not even talking as a Bears fan. You know what their problem is? The Bears don't develop their talent or further develop their talent. That's what their problem is. And I'll tell you, I'll give you a great example. I really do feel, and as an example, remember we made the big, and it's funny you said Mitch Trubisky. All right, draft class Mitch Trubisky. I really do feel if the Bears don't draft Mitch Trubisky and they draft Patrick Mahomes,
That would
Patrick
just ruin,
Mahomes, huh?
that would just ruin Patrick Mahomes' career.
Patrick Mahomes would not be the player that he is today.
Hmm. No, it's just that.
We don't develop players. Uh, a lot of what you see from the Bears players uh, is based off of what they're already bringing to the table, and probably what they've gotten from that previous institution or university that they were at.
Well, we could talk about your horrible coaching decisions, but but to think that, and here's the thing, like I'm coming from a place where I think Bears fans are, and I touched on this last time. Bears fans are, and this is all Chicago fans. Chicago fans are some of the most loyal fans that you will ever find. I mean, I think right here we have two Cubs fans. Your nickname is the Lovable Losers, and you still love your team and follow them and cheer for them. The Bears have not been relevant for like 20 years. Y'all still are going to sit here and argue and debate how great the 86 Bears were. Like, the Bears fans are legitimate fans, and y'all
The
deserve a
85
better
Bears.
project.
It's the 85 Bears. I'm sorry.
Whatever, dude. Who cares? Yeah, yeah. Thank you for
Well,
the
I don't
correction.
think so. Here's my
But
thing.
no, wait, here's the thing. Y'all deserve better. Y'all do deserve better. And do you realize what happens if you guys trade Justin Fields? That means that your team is openly saying, we are going to suck for 3 years. And that we don't think that Justin Fields, that
Right.
we'll be able to pay Justin Fields.
What I'm saying with the Seahawks trade, right, is it would be either. If I were the Seahawks, I'd be looking for either or. I'd be looking for either the first pick, right, so I can take whatever quarterback it is I want, or Justin Fields, right, because you look at what their coaching staff would appreciate.
Why?
Now, if you were the Bears, obviously, I think we all agree, getting
Okay.
trading Justin Fields, we take that off the table, right?
Okay.
Would you be willing to then trade the number one and take the 5 and the 20?
Well, for the Bears, yeah, but I don't think the Seahawks would do that. You're acting like
Depends on
the
how high
this
they are on
y-
that guy.
you are acting right now like
I
the
don't think we
Seahawks.
should do it, and I don't think the Seahawks should do it because you had something. I think you got something going. A lot of times it's about systems, man. And for me, I think they were doing well with Gino.
It,
Is Justin Fields better than Gino? Absolutely. But that does systems. I'm telling you, man, systems.
what
I agree.
Systems are key.
that's actually going to what I was about to say. What I was about to say is that not they're acting like the Seahawks were good this year
Uh-huh.
because of the rest of the team and despite Gino. No, they were good because of Gino. That rest of that team is absolutely
Mm-hmm.
horrible. That defense is horrible. That offensive line is horrible. They're running out there. Their weapons are aging. Well, and DK Metcalf is, a
Mm-hmm.
freaking beast. But I mean, outside of DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett is getting older. They have. If I am the Seahawks, I'm not making that trade. I'm looking at trading out of number 5 so that I can get more value and get more people. So I think they're in the we need depth, and then we'll address the quarterback later stage. Y'all got the quarterback, and you guys are just worried about having to pay him after his 3rd season and when
All
his
right,
rookie
fellas,
contract
we
expires.
only got a couple minutes left. Let's go ahead and get those final words in. Nate, I'll let you go ahead and first. Casey will give you the last word. Nate, final words for the night, brother.
Lamar Jackson, please sign a contract. He fell. That
Go ahead.
I'll take credit for that. Lamar Jackson, please understand that not every team is as stupid as the Browns. You are not going to get that Deshaun Watson contract. Yes, you deserve it, but sign a contract, work this out, and keep that team good. Um, please, and both sides get some sanity in that situation. Yes,
Good
done.
shit. Casey,
All right, take that out the video.
No, you
I
got to
will.
leave that shit. You got to leave that
Yeah.
shit.
All right,
All right,
Casey,
so
last word, baby.
last word. I got it's 2023. A lot happened in the NFL. More to come. We'll see. I will say this. We didn't talk about it. Maybe we'll talk about it in the future. Michael Irvin. That's what I got. Michael Irvin. There's some stuff, obviously. This is one of those chances to get the root for the underdog. And I think this is one of those situations where Michael Irvin is going to come out on top. So we'll see. And speaking of underdogs, never give up on your dreams. That's what I'm going to end with, because an underdog, I won't say an underdog, but somebody who was not given a chance all this weekend with the NBA All-Star, Matt McClung.
Yeah.
Exactly. Where did that come from? I'll say this. Thank you again, everybody, for fucking with us on the Sounds About Rock podcast. I'll say this in closing. Speaking of underdogs, please support the XFL. A lot of these guys that are playing in the NFL this year came from the XFL last year, and a lot of these guys are getting their opportunity. Please go support them if you can. Show some love. These guys are real, real, real. It's not like the old Ed McMahon shit that we used to watch. He hate me in them. These guys are legit, and I guarantee you'll see a handful of these dudes playing on Sundays next year or in the future. Fellas, it's been real. Till next time.
All right. Peace.